Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of the e-commerce lab by Ecomcy, the place for everything related to Amazon FBA private label and e-commerce. My name is Vincenzo Toscano, founder and CEO of Ecomcy, and today we're bringing another special guest. His name is Tom, and he's the co-founder and CEO of ZONGURU, which is a business that uses basically intelligence and analytics to help you basically manage your business and scale it further with everything that has to do with understanding in depth the numbers around your business. So, Tom, it's a pleasure to have you here. I know today we're going to be talking a very interesting topic, which is basically how to manage an account when it comes to having multiple SKU counts. We know that nowadays people is trying to diversify as much as possible, and it's more common than ever now that people have a lot of SKUs on their accounts. So it'll be interesting to hear your tips and strategies when it comes to that. But in the meantime, I want to welcome you, Tom. And how you doing, my friend? Thank you for being here.
Yeah, happy to be here. I'm doing great. Yeah.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. I think when we actually introduced each other for the first time a couple of weeks back, and we actually did a demo around your tool, I was interested a lot by the things you brought to the table and to the community. I think like when it comes to understanding numbers in the Amazon space, in specific where we reside, is something super important. I think nowadays a lot of people they don't really understand the numbers in depth. I mean, they just go to your Seller Central account and they think sometimes they're making a profit, but most of the time when you do the proper P&L and you see they're in red. So it was very interesting to see what you have done with your tool. And of course, we're going to be touching that a little bit further down the line in the episode. But before we jump into the topic and all of that, I think I would like to start with you, Tom. I know you're a successful entrepreneur, and I would like to hear about basically your background, how you got into e-commerce, and what made you found basically ZONGURU.
Yeah. So I started my career in tech, worked in San Francisco and Silicon Valley in various software companies for the first 5 years of my career. And then I accidentally started an Amazon business.
Tell me a little bit about that accident. What happened?
Yeah, I got roped into this crazy world of Amazon back in 2014. I invented a board game called The Voting Game, which then turned into 10 board games and a brand called Player 10 Games.
Okay.
I sold that business in 2019. And actually started a second Amazon business in 2017, selling children's clothing.
Okay.
And that's kind of was the impetus for starting ZONGURU, which was managing a high SKU count Amazon business is very difficult. Especially when you have lots of parent-child relationships in your products.
Yeah, especially clothing. That's madness.
And getting to insights and monitoring your metrics for subvariant groups was something that I couldn't find any tools on the marketplace that solved this problem. And so I made it myself.
Wow, that's awesome. I think it's funny because most of the solutions we found either on this and service providers have things of software. It's always like most of the historias are like that. Like we couldn't find a solution, we're struggling, and then you know what? I'm gonna do it myself, and then you realize there is actual business to be made around that, which is very interesting. And yeah, and I bet ZONGURU in the beginning was used just for your personal use, I guess, right? And that's how you evolved as a software.
Yeah, so in the software world, we like to call that dog fooding. And we're definitely dog fooding ZONGURU at the baby brand for sure.
That's very nice. So now you mentioned something interesting, which is I guess you still have the clothing brand around kids, right? So and I guess when it comes to SKUs, that must be a nightmare. I can imagine when you log on your Seller Central account, the amount of listings you see. And
we have somewhere around 800.
Wow, my God. Yeah,
800 ASINs, but then we also do them through FBM and FBA. So 1,600 different SKUs.
I imagine when you need to launch like a PPC campaign or something like that, it must take ages to do so. Yeah. But anyway, I think the first thing I would like to, I mean, based on your experience that for sure you have on this space, is that what are some of the main challenges you encounter when you have this type of business? I mean, what are some of the things you see on a daily basis in your business that, oh my God, it's a nightmare when it comes to dealing with this type of accounts?
Yeah. So I guess the first one is around inventory. And so managing what I like to call long tail inventory, and that's another way of saying inventory that doesn't move quite as fast as some of maybe your hero SKUs. We've, I guess, using Junglealytics, we actually discovered that a lot of our inventory is aging. Like
I see. So it's reaching the basically inventory that stays for very long in FBA
and previously our strategy was to basically try to allow or have an FBA offer for every single SKU in our catalog. And I guess we've recently moved to only having SKUs that move through at least 2 case packs a year as FBA SKUs, and the remainder of SKUs, the ones that don't move through at least 2 cartons a year, are only available via MFN.
So when you mean cartons, you mean I mean the amount of units you get in a carton. That's what you mean, right?
Yeah. So when the factory ships them,
nice.
They put them in a bigger box with some quantity inside.
Good.
The size of your products, it may be as low as 1. It could be up to a few hundred, depending upon how big the product.
I see. And I guess what you do is then the opposite as well. Like if you find FBM listing that's selling quite a lot, you change them into FBA, right?
Yep. Or in that case, we'd end up having both, because we always want to have a fallback option in case inventory is being moved between FBA warehouses or is unavailable for whatever reason.
I see. I see. And when you have this big quantity of units when it comes to inventory management, I mean, how, and this is a question that I bet is tricky to answer, but how you calculate the amount of units you need to order to each specific SKU, because each SKU is going to have a different sales velocity. Each SKU is going to sell more than others. So I guess when it comes to putting the purchase order, it must be a nightmare as well, right?
Yeah. So we use a combination of things. We use year-over-year forward-looking forecasts. So what did we sell in the upcoming few months that we're ordering into? And then we'll multiply that by a growth rate. And then we also try to look at, and this is another thing that Junglealytics helps us out with a lot, is inventory availability. So when you have a ton of SKUs, you're going to go out of stock on something.
Yes.
It's almost impossible to stay in stock on everything all the time. And it's one metric that Amazon doesn't do a great job of reporting out, which is how many days over some period of time were you out of stock on like a child ASIN within a parent-child relationship listing. And so with that data point, you can then go back in time and look at the percentage of days that you were available. You can build a model that includes that kind of like, how many units would I have sold if I was in stock every single day?
Yeah.
And then you can also use forward-looking projections with a growth rate to get to a pretty accurate forecast for what you would be able to sell.
I see. So basically, you kind of, I mean, this can be good news and bad news for when you're using, because the bad news is that you see how much money you lost.
Yeah, true. Or how much opportunity you have to grow.
Yeah, but the good news is at least you can, because I guess what you do is you take historical data that during that period, if you had the inventory, that's how much you have sold, and then that's how you make the projection of how much inventory to order, I guess, right?
Exactly.
Good. Now, when it comes to specific KPIs to track, right? Yeah. I mean, there's already a ton of KPIs to track, but I guess when you multiply that by 100 listings, that becomes even more difficult thing to really track at the SKU level. So my question is, when you have these accounts that are very big in terms of SKU count, would you say you go in depth to the SKU level to see a specific KPI, or you keep it at the parent level, or you keep it at the category level? How you do it? Like, what is the advice there? Yeah.
So it totally depends upon, I guess, the context of which you're asking, and I think there's value at every level. So your previous question about ordering inventory,
that's right,
definitely needs to be at the SKU level. You can't order things
at
any other level.
You don't know what you're ordering. Yeah.
For something like PPC, product line is usually good enough for many scenarios. But if, say, you have a certain strategy that you're launching on a certain subset of your catalog on a specific page, you may actually want to be able to go down and look at maybe just 3 of your colors. If you have a campaign, for example, I sell children's clothing, and so we'll have campaigns that target just boy keywords with blue items. And then we want to isolate only the blue items for those ad types to see how that kind of program or experiment that we're running within our advertising is performing.
I see.
The rest of the catalog.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, I guess it depends on what you want to achieve with that specific SKU. I
Yeah.
mean, if it's a SKU that is more generic, I guess you keep it at the parent level. But if you want to target specific colors or specific design that SKU has, I guess you go the extra mile and do a
Exactly.
strategy at the keyword level for that SKU. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's a similar kind of axes with region where you want to be able to measure generally each region independent of every other region.
That's right. Yeah, of course. Like if I guess you mean like if you have USA, Canada, Mexico, that's when
Exactly.
yeah. And actually now just to make sure I also make a more emphasis in when it comes to the parent and variations, and I guess you will have a lot of experience on this question I'm gonna give you next, is when it comes to launching more products or even working with your current products. I will get this question to myself when we're talking to clients. Like they ask me, okay, I have a parent product, right? Parent listing, and under it, I have 30 SKUs. Each SKU is, let's call it a design. Let's call it one is a design for girls, one is for boys, you name it, different designs, okay? And the question always comes like, what is better? To keep all under the same parent listing and then they share the same reviews, but then at the same time, you know there's going to be limitation in terms of ranking, or will you keep it all separately? And I know this may vary again on the type of product, but what have you seen working the best in a long time in terms of the best results? Yeah, in terms of ranking sales and all that.
Yeah. So I guess, like you said, there isn't a one size fits all approach. This question is different depending upon what you're selling. I think there is one kind of exception to that, and that's things that can't be determined by your hero image.
Okay.
So one example of that, there are a few others, but one obvious example of that is size.
Yeah.
If your variation axis is size, a user on Amazon or a customer, a purchaser on Amazon can't determine which size the item is from the image.
Yeah.
And so therefore, by not using a parent-child relationship SKU for specifically size or other things that have that thing, in my eyes, there's no reason not to use parent-child relationships for something like that. There's a bigger argument around things like color, where you actually can determine the difference in color from the hero image, and also from the keywords. And that comes in where one strategy that we've had a lot of success with is making sure that we're targeting the right child ASINs for our ads that have keywords that have intent, specific intent within the parent-child.
The color
we do have on that page. Yeah. So if you have someone searching for green shirt, you definitely don't want to show them the red one.
Yeah.
Even if you offer the green one. But it's actually surprising when I'm in customer accounts. We have an offering at JUNGLElytics where we do some consulting on top of the product.
Interesting.
People kind of gather insights within their business. And we've seen time and time again where people will be advertising, I guess, a subvariant of their product that converts less well than some other subvariant within the same product line. And it's basically like picking up free money because you're spending money on advertising a child ASIN that doesn't convert within the same group. You literally just change which child ASIN you're advertising, and your advertising metrics go up.
Yeah, I think that it makes total sense what you're saying, but at the same time, I guess, and maybe you can also help me here, is like the other side of the fence when it comes to arguing this is like some people say, okay, that's right, maybe if you have different colors or things that can be separated, it would make sense. But then people say, but what if the person that wanted to buy the red one, it goes on your listing and then they see, oh, actually you said other 4 pros that I other colors I never even thought of, and because I
Totally.
saw it on the family, now I'm gonna buy it, which is not gonna happen if you have the listing on its own. So you see what I mean?
Totally.
So that's the other issue as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think in most cases I default to, and again, this is case by case, so
Yeah.
there's no blanket solution. But I think in general, if you're asking the question, should this be a variation? I think the default should generally be yes.
Yeah.
And it's the cases where you have a massive listing is one case where breaking it apart actually can make sense, because you'll have multiple pages then with multiple thousands of reviews or something in this order of magnitude, where then you can take up more space, or you can start to have the conversation of how much space are we taking up on the search result page versus how is our conversion rate changing on our detail page.
That's right.
And ultimately, those are the two things that you're kind of trying to optimize.
Yeah. And I think the other thing to close this point is that we also need to consider that because one specific variation is just gonna show at the single time. For keywords that have to do with a red color, just the red variation most likely is gonna be the one that shows because it has more better conversion history on that keyword. So at the end of the day, you still have some kind of you're gonna build the relevancy on the keyword level. Just that you're not gonna have tens of listings of yours in the same queue at the same time. I guess you can have it twice, the advertisement and the organic, but that's it. And other than that, you can. Yeah. Good. So now another question. I also wanted to pick your brain into this one is when it comes to creating variations, right? So sometimes people come to us and say, okay, I want to create more variations, but currently they don't have any, right? And they get confused like, should I use a flat file? Should I use maybe open a case with Amazon? Because sometimes realistically, if you go to a listing, it says, oh, this category doesn't allow variation, but that's kind of about a bad wording from Amazon, because actually you can add variation, just that initially you didn't add them and they make you think you can't, but you can.
Yeah.
So is there any specific tip you have to make sure you make it as efficient as possible? Do you use flat files? Do you use other methodologies? And if you can share them. Yeah.
So always 5 files, and then working with our friends over at Seller Support to make sure that everything happens as necessary.
Yeah.
But yeah, flat files and variation listings go hand in hand.
Yeah, I think the flat file, to be honest, is people get afraid when you told them by using an Excel. They're so scared. But I think another strategy that I have seen, and maybe you have done this, is that the other thing you could do, you can just go through the normal methodology of creating a listing, and then you create it as a parent, and then when you go and you need to add the variation, you just select the two ASINs that are right now on its own, a single listing under the new parent listing you're doing normally, and that should create the family as well without doing the flat file. And that's something we discovered as well that was much easier, because basically you go like traditional, clicking the interface. I want to add a new product. You choose the category, you choose parent, variation, and you need to put ASINs there. You just put the ASINs of the old listings, and then those two get attached to the new parent listing, and you don't need to use flat file. So that's something.
Oh, amazing! I didn't know that. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, check it out. It's very interesting. Yeah. Good. So now, I think what I want to start jumping more into Junglelytics. I mean, the benefit it brings to the table is huge, and I think the first thing I would like to ask you is, I mean, the cost in terms of savings when it comes to using a software like this and trying to do it on your own, and sometimes not even figuring out what is wrong with your business. So maybe can you give us some insights about why it's so useful to have something like this on your business operations?
Yeah. So I guess within Cuddle Club, that's the children's clothing brand. We I guess we're advertising 3 different versions of the same product. So a white version, an orange version, and a blue version. And we were looking at the ad conversion rates by color variation. We noticed that the white one had a 50% higher ad conversion rate than the blue and the orange one. However, we were advertising about equally across the 3. So we had our ad spend 33% orange, 33% white, and 33% blue. We switched like all the advertising more or less. It wasn't a ton of intent in the keywords. So more or less all of the ad spend for those were changed to the white one.
Okay.
And we increased the profit overnight, essentially 20% on those variations. And that paid for Junglealytics for basically the next year.
Crazy. Small change like this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because like when you're running a business at scale and you make like small changes that have big impacts, it turns
especially
out,
when you have 800 SKUs, like one change here, one change there, it end up being like 40-50 changes that is going to completely change the business.
Yeah. And then the other cool thing is that change now kind of lives within our business, and every month we're basically getting the same value because that change is now persistent within that part of our business.
That's good. Yeah. And now that you mentioned this, and I guess I would like to ask you, do you have some scenarios, I guess, where you have actually used Junglealytics for a new product development? And what I mean by this is maybe you realize that the white color, because it sells so much, I guess you could even come to the conclusion that maybe I could launch into different type of design or clothing or sizes. Have you even done that with that data before? Because I think it will be interesting to see that. Yeah.
So not a ton with Junglealytics data because it mostly focuses exclusively today on historical data. But I have used the brand search performance query report to kind of try to figure out what people are searching for that is currently underserved in the marketplace.
I see.
And then after we do new product launches, we use Junglealytics to measure.
That's interesting. Yeah, I see. Good.
Are we achieving our goals in terms of, well, not initially profitability, but over time profitability? Are we hitting our targets for various SKUs or various child SKUs within the parent group? And kind of trying to get that first read on which of the variation options are the most popular amongst the parent SKU.
Nice. Now, when it comes to Junglealytics, I mean, I also remember that the amount of personalization you can do was very interesting, like the dashboards and all the different KPIs you can look at. So maybe can you give us just a high level, like what are some of the perks or features would you say that are very interesting from Junglealytics in terms of the metrics that you can see and the options you have, so people that is listening and watching can have an idea of what they can expect from the tool?
Yeah. So I guess there's two main, features in that capacity. The first is filters. So we allow users to filter their catalog to any subset of their ASINs. So what that means is you can use easy to figure out drop downs that let you select as many regions, product lines, primary variants, and secondary variants as you want to show up within the data that on the dashboard that you're building. So you could filter out just to one region, two regions, as many regions as you want. And then similarly for product lines, you could filter down to, I just want to see my fleece sweatpants SKUs, or I just want to see my sweatshirt SKUs, or whatever it is. And then similarly, you can do the same for primary and secondary variant. So I only want to see 2-packs, or I only want to see red colored items, or I only want to see things that are sour cream and onion flavored.
Yeah. And
whatever it is, depending on what you're selling. So that's one of the two axes of customization that we have. The second is every dashboard is fully customizable by the user. So you can add as many, we call them cards, but if you think about how Facebook works on the news feed, you have little containers that have information displayed inside them.
Squares. Yeah.
Our user interface uses the same paradigm, and you can add as many cards as you want to a dashboard.
Nice.
Fully customizable, and then each card typically has one or more metrics on it, and then some sort of data display, and all of that is also fully customizable. So when you add a card, say it starts as a sales card, you could change that to tacos, you could change that to percentage PPC if you wanted to see the percentage of your sales that are coming from PPC versus organic. To inventory, you could change it to anything you can imagine that is a metric that you could measure your Amazon business by. We allow essentially
Good.
fully customizable. Well,
You have no excuse now to say I don't know what are my numbers. With a few clicks, you will know.
yeah, exactly. Whether they're hopefully they're good, but
Yeah,
even if they're bad, that means that you have a
you know
lot of
how.
opportunity to
Yeah,
improve things. Yeah,
yeah. Because I think the worst feeling is that when things are going bad, but you don't know how to fix it. And with this, you can
exactly.
find the things are not working.
And that's
Yeah.
actually like one of the main reasons why I made Junglytics is I was constantly asking the question like,
What happened yesterday?
what
Why
happened
sales are
yesterday?
down? Yeah.
Like sales down, sales up, either way. I'm like, I have no idea.
Yeah. And
And
it's just a roulette. You're hoping next day is better, and that's it.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I had no control and no ability to dig into the numbers and see the specific parts of my business that were changing.
Yeah.
And
Super
now I'm
important.
able to zoom in and out to the level that's appropriate for the question that I'm asking.
Very nice. Very nice. Good, Tom. So I guess now, if you can tell us a little bit about how people can join the tool, if you have any promotion going on, can you give us a little bit about that as well, so we can start concluding?
Yeah. So we have a free trial
Mm-hmm.
with no credit card required for 30 days. You can check that out at junglytics.com.
Okay.
We're also offering 50% off for the first 3 months with
Nice.
promo code, 𝐃𝐎𝐍'𝐵50.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Yeah. Um,
Good.
we're excited to have people check out the tool. We're relatively new on the market, but we think that what we have to offer is going to be super valuable for the Amazon seller community.
Sure. Yeah, I recommend all the listeners and everybody watching. So use the code ecomcy50, right? That's the code. I'm gonna make sure as well to put everything down in the description so you guys can also find it there. And Tom, do you also want to share maybe your email or LinkedIn if people want to reach out to you and ask you any question?
Yeah. My email is tom@junglytics.com. And you can
Okay.
find me on LinkedIn if you search for Tom Rohlf. A
Nice.
link for that will also be in the description. I'll send that over
Good.
to
Yeah,
you.
for sure. Yeah. Thank you very much, Tom. So in the meantime, thank you for that discount. I'm looking forward to having a future to see the extra features that I'm pretty sure you're gonna bring to the market. Yeah. So it's been
Yeah,
a pleasure, man. Yeah. Let's give it that.
likewise.
See you, man. Bye
Thank
bye.
you.